Thank you so much. It's a bit overwhelming. It's lovely to be back. It's very emotional for me. When I was here, there was no such auditorium. I don't remember this auditorium at all. All our events, we had to go to the place across the road, which we shall not name. That's where we... So it's great that Hindu College has its own auditorium now. So it's lovely to be back. Thank you for the wonderful warmth with which I was received. It's very emotional for me, but thank you so much. Ayubowan, which in my language means may you live long. Vanakkam, namaskar, good morning. I think it's good afternoon now. It is a deep personal joy and a profound honor to stand before you today at Hindu College, a place that holds a very special place in my heart. When I walked through the gates of this college as a young student from Sri Lanka in 1991, I think long before some of you were even born, having arrived in Delhi on an ICCR scholarship, I carried with me a mixture of dreams, uncertainties, hopes, questions, and also more than a little nervousness. I also heard that Hindu College is now place number 1 in the metro system. So very proud to hear that. Well done, congratulations. 30-something years ago, when I was a sociology student, navigating the vibrant yet somewhat overwhelming streets of Delhi, the city was on the cusp of transformation. It was pre-liberalization India. Sri Lanka had already liberalized. India was making a much more gradual transition, and I remember arriving here and Pepsi had just begun, and that was seen as a big deal then. I remember the conversations that we used to have at the time, not just in the classrooms, I would say, especially not in the classrooms, but more on the lawns, over endless cups of Jai Singh's tea, chai, about social structures. Jai Singh's lawn still remains, but I don't think he's here any longer. I'm sorry to hear that. About all those conversations we had about inequality, feminism, human development that felt both urgent and necessary. Politics and myriad other subjects, films, drama, theatre, we talked about everything. Of course, as young people, starry-eyed and idealistic, we naturally thought we knew it all. And that changing the world was an easy task, and all we had to do was leave Hindu College and get out there, and the world was ours. I also recall some of the discussions in sociology and the deep realization that understanding society meant understanding people, their struggles, their aspirations, their resilience. Just as much as I'm thankful to the government of India for making it possible for me to study at Hindu College, I'm grateful to all my teachers, one of whom is still here, Miss Achala. I think she's somewhere here. Others who have moved on to other institutions. They didn't just teach me theories, but encouraged me to think critically, to question, and to never accept injustice as inevitable. The Delhi I knew at that time was different from the metropolis you experience today. But even then, it pulsed with energy, diversity, and the promise of what India could become. To my mind, however, what makes Delhi truly unique still remains unchanged. And that is Delhi's ability to absorb people from everywhere, to embrace diversity, and most importantly, to teach resilience. It made me, a young woman from Sri Lanka, far away, quite far away, to feel very much at home and to feel accepted, and that part of me still belongs to Delhi. After graduating in 1994, I carried the lessons I learned here to Australia, where I studied for my master's degree in applied anthropology. I researched female migrant workers. Later, at the University of Edinburgh, I completed my PhD in social anthropology, focusing on child protection and the complex relationships between state and society. Reflecting now on my academic journey, whether it was teaching sociology at the Open University of Sri Lanka for over a decade, or conducting research on dissent, social justice, discrimination, youth issues, and human rights, I think the academic bearings that were instilled in me at Hindu College were never far from me. I spent years in the humanitarian and development sector working with marginalized communities, conflict-affected communities, female-headed households, and children living in conditions of exploitation and abuse. I engaged in trade union activism through the Federation of University Teachers Association, fighting for education rights and academic freedom. Each of these experiences reinforced a truth that perhaps formed in my mind at Hindu College, that knowledge without action is incomplete, and that education obligates us to serve those who have been left behind. When I made what many call my leap into politics in 2020, it was never quite a leap like it was described. It was not an abandonment of academia, but an extension of it. It was a recognition that sometimes, to create the change we study and advocate for, we must step into the arena ourselves. Now, as Prime Minister, I carry with me the lessons of every classroom, every research project, every conversation with my teachers, my colleagues, as well as, and I would say especially, my own students who dare to dream of a better world. I have not forgotten them and I have not abandoned them. And furthermore, I think the training I received in sociology, particularly in ethnography, of how to immerse yourself in different worlds, in different cultures, has helped me enormously in my life and career. And especially, I think, in the work that I have to do in Parliament, where I'm constantly reminded that, Parliament is also like a field site that I have to immerse myself in. I want to say to the students who are here today that your education is not just about securing your individual futures. It is about equipping yourselves to transform the futures of others. It is your power, you have the power to shape the world. The world that you are inheriting faces complex challenges. These include climate change, inequality, social injustice, technological disruption, economic issues, and political polarization. But it is not just your generation. Every generation faces its own share of complex challenges. What is important is to develop the skills to not feel overwhelmed by challenges, not to fear complexity, and to realize that challenges and complexity also present opportunities for those who are prepared, who are thoughtful, and who are committed to making a difference. You must never underestimate the power of asking difficult questions. Learn not what to think, but how to think. Challenge assumptions. Question established narratives. Seek truth even when it is uncomfortable. Be curious, learn from disagreement, but above all, learn to disagree without hating. I believe that education, compassion, and empathy must go hand in hand. Understanding societal structures matter little if we don't understand the human beings within them. Whether you become a doctor, engineer, astronaut, civil engineer, entrepreneur, politician, or anything at all, let compassion and empathy guide your expertise. Let your learning further humanity. The most intelligent mind is incomplete without a compassionate and empathetic heart. Sitting in sociology lectures in this college in the early 1990s, or walking around the grounds of this college, hanging out with friends, eating chola bhatura at the canteen. I wonder whether it's still there. I never imagined that I would one day serve as Prime Minister, or that I would one day return to this college to speak to you as the Prime Minister and Minister of Education of Sri Lanka. The point I want to make is that life's path is rarely linear. Be open to unexpected opportunities and have the courage to step into roles that may sometimes feel bigger than you think you are ready for. This was very pertinent advice that I received when I was offered this opportunity to take on politics as full-time profession. And when one of my colleagues told me, don't be afraid, sometimes life throws things at you, which if you shouldn't think too much about, you have to just go with it and grab it and go take the decision and plunge in and go forward. Remain open. I think that's the lesson I learned. Remain open to life's opportunities. Never think that you know how your life is going to unfold. You cannot ever know. I never knew. And I think that is the most wonderful thing about life and about what we are equipped through education to be able to face. Also remember that democracy is not a spectator sport. It's hard work. Active citizenship means more than just voting or commenting online or presenting your opinion on Instagram, on Twitter, or whatever else social platform you're on. It means engaging with your community, standing up for justice, and contributing to the common good in whatever capacity you can. The beauty of the democracy, something that India and Sri Lanka share in this region as unbroken democracies since independence, is that ordinary citizens like me, like you, shaped by public education and shared struggles, can rise to serve their nations. I want to also urge you to always build bridges in whatever context you're placed. Don't build barriers, whether it is within educational institutions, homes, offices, between nations or communities. Remember to always find ways to collaborate and partner. The sustainable future of our countries, regions, and indeed the planet depends on collaboration and partnership. For me, returning to Hindu College is also so much about the India-Sri Lanka relationship. 22 nautical miles of the ocean, the Pork Strait, separates our two countries. But what unites us is so much more. Our relationship, rooted in civilizational, cultural, religious and historical ties, stretches back more than 2 millennia. And I should also add cricket. And straight when I first came, when I was here in 1991, whenever I said my name, they would also, inevitably I would also ask, Jayasuriya, do you know Jayasuriya? I said, I mean, our country is very small, but we don't know each other that well. But I was inevitably asked, do you know Jayasuriya? We are asked, as strange as it may seem, our civilizational bond is also much about education, teaching and the empowerment of the individual. Sri Lanka's written history records that in the 3rd century BC, Emperor Ashoka sent his son Mahinda to Sri Lanka to share the teachings of Buddha. His daughter Sangamitra followed, carrying a sapling of the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, under which the Buddha attained enlightenment. That sapling has grown into a tree which is one of the most revered sites in Sri Lanka still. Reverend Sangamitra established a women's monastic order in my country, empowering women both spiritually and socially. India and Sri Lanka are bound by a common heritage of tradition, values, and mutual respect. These cultural ties are woven into the fabric of our societies. So we may disagree with each other at times, we may not like everything about each other, but I think that's like families, that's like real relationships. You still learn how to live together and work together. At the end of the day, you respect each other. But what I want to emphasize today is the modern dimension of this ancient friendship. India has been an unwavering partner in Sri Lanka's journey, supporting our economic recovery, providing critical assistance during times of crisis, and standing up with us in our pursuit of stability and growth. When Sri Lanka faced her most severe economic crisis in 2022, India extended credit lines, fuel, and essential supplies. These are not forgotten. They are written in the memory of our people. This wasn't just this diplomatic assistance, it was the hand of a true friend extended in our darkest hour. Sri Lanka, for her part, has consistently upheld a solemn pledge, never to permit her soil to be used in a manner that threatens the security of India. This principle remains sacrosanct. Our partnership, as you can see, is clearly not episodic. It is structural. It is not a temporary convenience of today. It is a necessity of tomorrow. The recent high-level visits between our nations, our President Anura Kumara Dissanayake visited India in December last year, and Prime Minister Modi visited Sri Lanka just 4 months later in April this year, signal a deepening of this partnership at all levels. The Government of India's generous support for educational infrastructure in Sri Lanka has been transformative. From English language laboratories in our provinces to vocational training centers, smart classrooms in rural schools, and support for financially disadvantaged university students. These initiatives are not just about infrastructure, they are about investing in our shared future and the potential of our young people. The bilateral cooperation in human resource development, including training programs for teachers and officials, reflects our mutual understanding that education is the foundation of national progress. As Sri Lanka charts its course for the future, we see India not just as a neighbor, but as a trusted partner in our quest for development and prosperity. The government of Sri Lanka recognizes education as a primary responsibility and is committed to reducing the financial burden on families while ensuring equal access to quality education across the country. We have a proud history of free education in our country, Madam Principal, that goes back many years, where we provide free education from grade 1 right up to your undergraduate years. And that has been a big part of our success in being able to maintain good human development indicators, even when we've fallen behind in other ways. Vocational education is also a national priority for us now to bridge the gap between classroom learning and demands of the job market. As we enter a new era, it is important that our two countries strengthen our economic ties, enhance people-to-people connections through exchanges like this, and advance regional and global cooperation. The future holds immense potential, and we must work together to realize it. The strength of the Sri Lanka-India partnership lies in our collective action, in our shared commitment to addressing challenges that transcend borders, whether they involve environmental concerns, economic development, counter-terrorism efforts, maritime issues, or ensuring growth that benefits the peoples of both our countries. For India and Sri Lanka, opportunities are boundless. What is required is the wisdom to seize them. The India-Sri Lanka partnership is also an opportunity for people like you, because you are tomorrow's leaders and entrepreneurs. Whether it's collaborating on renewable energy projects like solar and wind, digital services, technological innovation, or sustainable agriculture and food security, the opportunities are limitless. Although in population sizes at just 21.9 million, we are smaller as a country than the size of the national capital region of Delhi, and we are only 65,000 square kilometers in land area. Our deep water ports and our location can make Sri Lanka an important partner for India's growth. And what we lack in size and number, I think we have in spirit and in resilience. Sri Lanka's Colombo port, for example, already handles a significant portion of India's transshipment. For this reason, I urge you to think regionally as well as globally. The future of the Indian Ocean region depends on young people like you, who can see beyond borders and build partnerships rooted in trust. Leaders who can build an even more inclusive, prosperous, connected, and mutually beneficial India. An India and Sri Lanka partnership, so that future generations in both our countries can thrive in an interconnected, interdependent, peaceful world. I want to say to all the students who are here today, you stand at the threshold of extraordinary possibilities. The education you are receiving at Hindu College is a gift, but it is also a responsibility. Use it wisely. Use it to build bridges, not walls. Use it to heal divisions, not deepen them. Use it to serve, not just to succeed. And I invite you to look south, across the Pork Strait. Consider Sri Lanka not just as a neighbor, but a collaborator and partner. We are a country of ideas and a generous and resilient people. In terms of UNDP's Human Development Index, like I mentioned before, Sri Lanka ranks in the high HDI category, and it is the highest rank in South Asia. We are a country that is rebuilding, eager to learn, teach, and co-create with India. It would be a pleasure to see increasing student exchanges between Indian and Sri Lankan students, and researchers working and researching together in institutions, startups, art and culture and other fields. I already saw sort of a slightly fusiony Sri Lanka, India dance happening. All of you have access to knowledge that my generation could only dream of. You know, we were born into an era where television had just started and a smartphone was not even thought of. Can you imagine? We actually had to dial to call each other. Yes, and I hadn't seen a computer till much later in my life. I would invite you to not measure success only by titles or salaries. Measure it by how many lives you touch, how often and how much of injustice you challenge, and how many bridges you build, not just in societies and communities immediately around you, but regionally and globally. Work to build a better, kinder world for all. Be global in your imagination. Be regional and global in impact. Be conscious of our common humanity and remain deeply human in your values. Thank you for having me here today. I wish you all a fulfilling journey ahead and a bright future. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. It's lovely to be back. It's lovely to see all of you.